call the order of the Pleasant Grove City Council on this April the 14th, 2020. It is just past 5:30 and we're convening as a work session. And we have all of our council members present except for Councilmember Lamone.
Councilmember Lamone's now on.
Geez, oh, there you are, Sid, so we're thereby. So we have all our council member and we welcome the staff who has joined us also here today. So our work session consists of our FY21 budget discussion. So Scott, do you want to lead out on this?
Yeah, I'll lead out and then I'll have Denise cover a couple things, but I just first want to talk about our current year budget. So there's not a whole lot of new information since we talked 2 weeks ago. So most that 3-page document I sent you 2 weeks ago, most of that is really just kind of holding to where we're at. But for our current year, we did meet, Denise and I, with all the department heads the last 2 weeks to discuss their expenditures for the rest of this fiscal year. They went through their budgets and then made proposals to Denise on where they feel like they could save some money. So they've turned those into Denise. We feel pretty confident. I gotta be careful how I say this because I have no idea what April and May and June are going to bring as far as revenues, but we feel pretty good that we're going to be able to get through this fiscal year by breaking even with revenues over expenditures. If that happens, I think that's a nice win for us. If we are in the black at all, I think would just be fantastic. And quite honestly, we won't know the answer to that until probably September, October is when we close out our books and Denise finishes the audit. But right now, what we're projecting, we feel pretty good about that. So I'm going to show you our one-pager for our budget for next year. I'm going to share the screen here. Everybody can see that. Blow it up a little bit. So this is similar to what you saw last week or 2 weeks ago. There hasn't really been much change. Right now, we're looking at about almost $1.1 million of decreased revenue. So we have, and that's made up of sales tax being reduced 750,000, building and planning permits 142,000. And then just some of the other revenue line items, smaller ones that add up to about another 300,000. We also have a Communities That Care reimbursement. That's a positive number coming our way. And then we also have the dispatch savings at 165,000. So what that is showing, when you look at our total revenues / budget reductions at the bottom on the left-hand side, is that we're about $924,120 less in revenue than what we had in our budget for last year. On the expense side, on the right side, these are 4 things that we committed to pre-coronavirus that we'd like to keep in the budget. We have the employee recognition program, we have the Communities That Care, and then we have the part-time police admin position, which was going to be funded out of the dispatch savings. So when you see the dispatch savings at 165,000, we've always represented that number to be 145,000 because we knew we were going to have to hire a new part-time person to help with some of the administrative calls in the police department. The other sort of wild card right now that we don't know, but we know we'll be getting a number here probably in the next month or so, is our property and liability insurance. We're anticipating an increase with some of the claims that we had in the past couple of years. We're assuming that we're going to see an increase in that. So we're estimating that to be at 25,000. If it's less than that, then that's just additional money, in essence, saved. If you look down where it says current deficit at $987,920, That would be our current deficit for this year. So in 3 weeks, sorry, on May 5th, we're required by state law to adopt a tentative budget. Our tentative budget on the expense side will be exactly what it was for our last budget that we adopted back in our 2020 budget, with the exception of the 4 items on the right would be changed. On the new budget for the tentative budget, the revenue side will show what you're seeing here. Those revenues will all be decreased. But on the revenue side, we will have $900,000 of our capital money transferred in for the operational use for fiscal year 21. So by using that 900,000, that leaves us $87,920 in which we would need to pull out of our reserve account, out of our fund balance. We're trying to stay out of the fund balance the best we can through these times. That's where the capital money is going to help, but we might need to go into it a little bit.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
When will you know whether the property liability insurance increase? When will you note that?
We think about a month they're going to give us our quote.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So it'll probably be after we do the tentative budget, but it will be before we do the final budget.
Okay.
So we're required by state law to post a tentative budget, but the budget can still be changed anytime up until we do our final budget, which will be, I think it's the June 23rd meeting. So we still have time to make changes. Usually in the past, when we finished our tentative budget, we're pretty much there. We're 95% there, 98%. We'd make a few tweaks here and there. But what's going to be different about this budget is we're not recommending any rate increases. We're not recommending any capital expenditures. And so those types of things, which we usually spend quite a time talking about, are not part of the recommendation. So our budget for next year is actually pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of guesswork outside of this idea that we don't necessarily know exactly what our revenues are going to look like. With that being said, and cross our fingers, and I'm hopeful that we're going to get back to, in the state of Utah anyway, hopefully by the month of June, some of these social distancing requirements are going to be made a little better to maybe a point where restaurants can open up again, and certain things that we collect tax revenue we can start seeing again. We're not going to get back to where it's whole, but we're going to get back to a point where it's going to be better. So our fiscal year 21 budget, we can amend at any time. So we'll adopt it at the end of June. But if we get into the budget, and I think by October, if our revenues are coming in stronger than what we initially anticipated, it would be a great time to do a budget amendment and then talk about preservation of some of the capital projects, or again, come back to the employee wages and to revisit that. We don't have to wait a full year on the employee wages. If we feel comfortable that our revenues are coming back, I think that'd be one of the first things we'd want to reintroduce, is talking about an increase, maybe mid-year. What we're recommending as of today is that at least July 1, we wouldn't have any employee increases. And really, that's just cautionary until we have more information. So that's where we're at today. Once we get our sales tax numbers June 1st, which will be for the March fiscal year, I don't know. Denise and I have had a lot of discussions about different ways to continue to try to get this thing opened up a little bit more. We're just not comfortable today doing any of that because we really won't have any more information until June 1st. So before our final budget, we might have some proposals to bring back to you, but as of right now, I think this is where we're at. So are there any questions on current fiscal year? Let me
Hey,
talk
Scott, wait, one more thing.
Go ahead, Todd.
Can you just help me understand the general fund revenue you see as a decrease of 1,094? Maybe just offline, send us an email on where you see that maybe in different categories, how that decreased?
Well, it's on that page. It's sales
Is it?
tax is the biggest one. That's 75% of that number.
So that's the 750, that's the 750 that you're
Yeah.
seeing as a decrease.
So you add up the 750 with the 142,467 and the 301,653, that equals the 1,094,120.
I see it now. Okay, great.
Sorry, and
Perfect.
I probably could have done a better job of explaining that, but that is.
No, you're good.
Sales tax is king for us. It's 42% of our budget. And that has the biggest impact. And that's the thing right now. In fact, Denise and I were on a call yesterday with a bunch of other cities, with an economist with the University of Utah, trying to make sense of what this is going to look like for fiscal year 21. And it just confirmed what we all knew, and that's really nobody has any answers. The economists were able to just say in the last 4 weeks that the hospitality industry has been hit the hardest. And there's been a couple other industries, but the hospitality by far and away is one of the sectors that's really been hit hard. Hospitality for us, we do have one hotel. And I can't remember if the hospitality included restaurants. It might have included restaurants, but we'll see. That's just one of those things. Is you might have read in the newspaper, there's one city for sure that's already going through layoffs. There's other cities that are in the paper that have talked about their anticipated decreases in revenue. When I read what they're planning and what we're planning, I feel pretty comfortable about our number. There are, in surveying city managers, about 3/4 of the cities are not doing raises on July 1. Almost every city is saying we're going to wait till we get some numbers and maybe do a mid-year adjustment. And I think that's the same boat we're in. There are a couple cities that are going to try to get in some wage increase. And most of them said that could all change come June 1st when they get their sales tax numbers for March, that could possibly go away. So that's kind of the summary of where we're at on current year budget. Like I said, I feel Denise has done a great job. The department heads too were great at looking at their budgets and seeing where we could save. So I feel good about the spot we're in relative to the situation. I wish we could have kept everything normal and not have to even have these discussions, but that's not our reality. The only thing that we have left is we have our fee schedule, and I'll put that up here so that Denise can go over it. And really, because we're not changing anything with utility rates, there's just a couple fees that need to be talked about. So is that up there? Can you guys see that?
You
Yes.
see it, you can see it, we got it.
Denise, do you need to guide me where exactly?
No, I'm just you can leave it on that page because
Okay.
that's the biggest ones. So this is our fee schedule, and Scott doesn't need to go to the first page, but we did add a description about what NC means. We had some customers that thought maybe that meant no charge now. That just means no change for the adopted year that we're in. So, probably been like 2 months now, Dion and cemetery staff looked at, did a study with other cities, and we decided we needed to raise a couple of our charges. And so that's the biggest thing that we're doing right now that you'll see. And then the additional fees on the weekend. So those are just two of the biggest changes on the fee schedule. And then we only have one little one in rec. We had a couple of cleanup items, track and field, and those type of things in the youth programs. Scott had discussed 2 weeks ago that originally we were discussing doing some utility rate increases because we still do have projects. We still need those funds, but we decided that this wasn't the time to be raising our utility rates, as we don't know, as far as our citizens, what they'll be facing too with job losses, those type of things. And so,
Well, sorry,
Yeah.
Denise, let me jump in because I should have said this and I forgot. But just like we'd be looking at employee wages, if the economy ramps right back up by January of 2021, we might want to consider a mid-year increase on utility rates if we feel like our citizens are in a better position to do that. If we're still struggling with unemployment and struggling with other factors that are playing into that, then, for us to put that off a year, we can do that. But that's just something we want to have in your minds that we could be proposing, again, just depending on how quickly everything gets back into where it was. Sorry, Denise, was there anything else?
Nope.
Denise, and if Dion's on, can we change, if people are getting confused by that NC, because I can see how they would look at that fee schedule and get confused, it says no charge.
Yeah.
Can we change that and either spell it out or change the lettering on that? Because I can see how people would get confused by that.
So that's what you put on there, right? Is
Yeah, no
NC
change
is
to
no
fee.
charge to fee.
The other thing that we could do, we could just put the dollar amount.
Yeah, I actually like that.
I do too.
I could
Yeah,
just put, if the number's different, there's gonna be a different number there. If not, I could just put the current fee in there. I could just put the numbers in there.
I think that would be best. I
Okay.
like that. Then there's no, can you do that on both the rec and the cemetery?
Oh, I'll do the whole schedule that way.
Great.
I'll just,
And then Dion, this might be a question for you. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Denise.
so the adopted fee will be the same as the current fee if there's no thing. And maybe what I can do is maybe I'll just highlight on our fee schedule the changes. Why
Highlight or
we're
bold.
working through, or bold or something. I'll do something and I'll get that out to you.
The other thing is, Dion, is there any way we can change the name from Babyland to something else?
What's Babyland?
That's,
The cemetery.
that's where the lots are for the babies, yeah.
Oh.
So Babyland, we have infants and then we have Babyland, I mean.
I
They're
just
pretty much
changed
the
it to
same.
Babies?
Yeah, most cemeteries offer a baby land just because they take up so little space. You can utilize space a lot different. So that's pretty much why we could definitely change it. We
Is there
could just change it to
I
infants.
don't know.
Are
Is
you
there
talking
just-
about the name,
Yeah,
Sid?
we're just talking about the name, Dion, not changing the fee.
Yeah,
No,
No,
I'm
no.
with you on that. Most cemeteries have what they call the baby land.
Is
I
that
know,
what
I
they call, is that what they call it?
I just
yeah,
don't
it
love
is.
that. I don't know. That seems weird. I don't know. I just don't love it, but
It
That's what
sounds
the-
like more like a play park.
Yeah, if that's what the industry is known as though, then maybe that's,
Dion, is there any other options for that?
We could just change it to infants. That would probably be the only thing I could think of.
Or baby/infants.
since it's the
Yeah.
same price, let's
The
do
same
that.
price.
Let's just-
Okay, okay, I'll do that.
Sounds good.
Okay, anything else from the council? That's really all we have on our budget update. We'll have the tentative budget available in 3 weeks on May 5th for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything
Thanks.
else we want to bring up in our work session here? We've still got a few minutes before we take a little
Yeah,
break.
maybe we can do some department reports, Mayor, if that's okay.
Okay. Well, Dion, it's probably not much change. You want to go ahead and start out, Dion? You're the one out there getting stuff done.
Now, there's really no change with us. We haven't really seen an increase in park use. The county has shut down the shelters on the Murdoch Trail. The restrooms are still open, but we'll see how long that goes. We still currently have 3 restrooms open currently. And that's probably all we're gonna keep open for now.
Yeah, when you say the shelters, what does that mean?
There are little picnic tables about every half a mile or so.
So those are shut down, like there's like signage on them, or how are they shut down?
Yeah, they have them caution, similar to what we have the playgrounds, just caution tape and then a sign.
Okay.
Dion, on the, I got an email from Laurel Cunningham today on the Historic Preservation Commission, inquiring or stated that you were going to look at, put together a punch list of some items that need to be completed on the old town hall. Are you, uh, how far along is that?
So all the interior stuff, with the exception of remodeling the restroom, is complete. Most of the outside, so there's two things left we really need to do, and that would be make the restroom ADA accessible, which is going to redo that whole back area of the old library there. And then we need to put in a ramp, which will take in the back door. And part of that process is moving the water heater so we can get enough access and length in there.
Okay. Do you have any costs on that, or is this?
I do not. The minor stuff we've already accomplished. I can get that. I mean, the list is there. I just don't have cost to it yet.
When you get that, could you get that to me?
Sure, will do.
All right, thank you.
Anybody have anything else for Dion? Hey, I'll just share with the mayor's Zoom meeting we had Friday that pickleball courts came up. And some cities still have theirs open, but it was, some mayors were surprised. The only reason they closed theirs is because everybody else was closing theirs. So apparently I think they were gonna open up all the pickleball courts again because they figured that was, everybody was staying apart on the pickleball course. So that's just an update from the other cities there for you.
Okay, that's a great idea. I mean, I noticed that people were playing tennis, which I think is appropriate.
Yeah,
They play pickleball over in the tennis courts. In fact, there's 3 groups over there this afternoon.
That's great.
I think that's fine, as long as it's within social distancing, I think that's great.
So,
I didn't measure it, but it looked okay.
Why don't you go out there next time, Brent, and maybe play around with them and just keep tabs on them.
I have to watch my heart.
Kyler, would you like to, Tyler, would you like to say what's going on in the rec center like nothing? Or how you guys doing up there?
Yeah, I'll just since we last met, we closed Funshine Daycare. We ended up just canceling, or not daycare, but our preschool. We ended up canceling April and May and saying that was done. And so the teachers came up with all the curriculum for the rest of the year and had their graduation certificates, and the kids came down and said bye to their teachers. And so it was good for them to see their kids one last time. They're just like all the other teachers, and their kids, and had a good year with them. So fitness instructors, we're still doing our thing online, and we've kind of tightened up security there with the whole Zoom fiasco. So they have to actually remote in with a password that's given out to them. So we don't want anything happening there. Communication wise, we've just really been, as soon as we hear something, we have a bunch of people still signed up for baseball, softball, basketball, and we're just trying to stay in communication on when this might start. And so we're just doing our best there to reach out through email and staying in contact. We painted all the curbs around with Dion's help. He bought us some paint, and we painted all the curbs red and yellow around the rec center. Cleaned up really good, all the spring cleanup. Brett and I are over at the pool, starting to clean the pool. We're looking into how we're going to train our lifeguards online, and then as soon as we can, if we get the go-ahead, we'll just put them in the water and get them trained in the water. And then the last thing is I've gotten with our management software at the rec center, is just in case there's going to be stipulations when people come back in of how many can be in there. We're trying to really look into a system that can count people in and out, kind of a check-in process. Just seeing what we can do there to be ready for that when that happens. So that's what we got going on.
Okay, thank you. That's
Thanks, Tyler.
nice report. It's gonna be interesting where they're up in northern Utah, where they're opening up a few gyms up there. See how that all works out for them. We'll have to pay attention to that. It was in the news.
Yeah,
there,
whatever.
so.
One person for every 100 square feet and all sorts of rules. Like, that's kind of interesting. I don't know how they for that, but.
Okay. All right. Well, Sherry, you want to brief us on how the library's doing over there?
Sure. We are still doing our checkout, our curbside. We've done about 1,300 checkouts since we started it.
Wow.
And story times are still going well. We're now doing 2 different ones a week. And so we have Valerie and Stacy who do our regular ones in the mornings. And then we also have Cammie Johansson, who has been doing Tuesday night story times for years. And she's filming them too now out of her basement. And we're having regular contact with staff and working on a lot of other projects. So it's all going well.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that, being able to still get some books out of there and your story and your online stuff there, so.
Yeah,
Anybody got
people have been.
any other questions for Sherry?
No, thanks, Sherry.
Hey.
If not, anybody? Okay, if not, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn from our work session.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's work session.
We have a motion from Councilmember Williams, a second from Councilmember Anderson. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now we're adjourned. Now let's take just a couple of minutes. I need to grab me a water real quick here, and so let's just take a couple of minutes and we'll come back in a couple of minutes here, okay?